went to the highfalutin Ivy League schools. But it meant something to me on welfare, watching mama scrub floors, for somebody to tell me I was somebody. You may not have needed that, but I needed that. And then all through my life, seeing him open doors. When you see me talking about Brittany Griner, it's because I learned how he went and got Robert Goodman, different situation. But it taught us that we could deal with global issues. We're not local Negroes. We're global thinkers that can talk to heads of state. And before we go up there, I didn't know it was coming, but we got to hear some words while y'all watching on Impact Television from our leader, our mentor, the one who picked up the mantle when they shot Dr. King down. It dropped in his hands. He's been leading ever since. Let us hear some words from the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Come on, y'all can do better than that.
Respect me, protect me, don't neglect me. My mind is a pearl. I'm anything in the world. I'm God's child. I'm God's child. I am something. Let me hear you scream. I almost negotiated a deal with SeaWorld and Sesame Place, but they're doing our children. They wasn't focused on how much money we're going to get the deal for them, how many positions of power we're going to get. And there's a black on the board who owns 40% of the stock in the company there. The lawyer is a guy who was on the legal defense fund, a brilliant lawyer. So the blacks, minorities now are 60% of the company. It says about changing the circumstances in which we live. I want to express my thanks to you, Al, for being a part of that negotiation. Being part of that process. We said this one action that we're in the South doing a lot of voter registration right now. Texas, 675,000 blacks unregistered, and 1.7 million Latinos unregistered. In Arkansas, 380,000 blacks unregistered. So Latinos about 410,000 unregistered. In Georgia, 535,000. Well, my point is that people should be registered to vote. It's part of this situation. So I should be a registered voter because I'm an American. The registration should be automatic. You shouldn't have to pay a poll tax to register to vote. You have to go from in the country in Little Rock, you got to go 30 miles to register to vote. And that's today that office, they're mobile. You have to go back home, go back another day. We must fight for the right of registration, which is American citizenship. Talk to me, somebody. As the Trump was trying to restrict votes, we're going to expand it. You're age 18, you're drafted for the military. Pay FICA taxes, automatically, right? We're going to fight for people to have the automatic right to vote. Nice, y'all support that proposition?
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration.
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration. Now, in other words, you take the pain out. Not as my president often tell the story, my grandmother's not going to vote for me. If she didn't love me, grandma couldn't read and write. Never schooled in her life. And when she did in the mail, Mom and I had to take her downtown Keepin, register for her son to vote. She got through asking questions, which she didn't know what to do, and make an X and walk away. He had dropped down. She couldn't read her, had to make an X. What about people have to make X's? Cleveland, Ohio today is 51%, 52% African American, 61% of them are illiterate, 25% never finished high school. So many of our people are behind on reading, writing, and counting. You hear me now? So now we want to start a movement around the country, everywhere we go, fighting for automatic voter registration. And what it means is that if you put that many blacks on the books, you have politics toward that. You have maybe 700,000 Latinos on the votes in Texas, and 700,000 blacks. You got the campaign for who registered to vote. Right now you're campaigning for who's registered, who got the money. See, if we're fully registered and fully vote, we have the power. If you can win Georgia, 2 senators, Mississippi 45% African American, plus Latinos, blacks over 51% of that state, and for the progressive whites, we can become governor of Mississippi. 2 U.S. senators of Mississippi. We have the power to change Mississippi for the better. Same as the South is where slave ships landed. That's where most of our people are still there in great numbers. Relationships between white and black is closer to New York and South and place else. I want to thank you for allowing me to say something today. I really want to come back and act as so I am. I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen. Right to vote. I'm a citizenship. Okay.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Sing for Reverend Jackson. Jesse Lewis Jackson. Everybody's singing. Hey, one last time, one last time, one last time, I'm opening the doors of the movement that may be
It's Friday, February the 20th, Black History Month. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. Very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours is Exhale Friday. Whatever is on your mind, whatever is in your heart, all you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Twitter.com, The Rev Al, or go to our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and we will read your comments over the airwaves, but make sure you go and print that out. Now, let me say that top of the news is the Supreme Court just gave the president a major setback, brought him to the woodshed, and said, no, you cannot make unilateral decisions on tariffs. It has to deal with the Congress. This is a major defeat for Donald Trump. Don't forget, 3 of the justices on the Supreme Court was nominated by him. 6-3 voted against him. And this is something that they did not expect. But this is his overreach of power. I'm going to just impose tariffs. I don't have to deal with the Congress. I have to deal with anybody. Well, Supreme Court said, no, that's not legal. And first time they've seen the court really come out on a big one against him. And I understand he'll be speaking any minute. I'm sure he is not happy. But it's a major defeat for him, particularly since it's his people on the court. And so that's one piece of news that we are dealing with. Obviously, he is not a happy president right now. We'll see when he comes out. Then we have the U.S. economy. This report comes out that the U.S. economy slowed more than expected at the end of 2025. Economic growth slowed. The GDP, gross domestic product, grew by 1.4% in quarter four, down sharply from the 4.4 in quarter three. So they actually went down in consumer spending in the fourth quarter. And inflation cooled, but it remains above the Fed's 2% target. So with Trump talking all this about, he was in Rome, Georgia yesterday, talking about affordability is not an issue. I've done more, Well, according to the data, the economic growth has slowed down and inflation has gone up in certain areas. So are you just hallucinating or lying or both? We want to know. All right. We also see that Trump is requesting, well, he's directing, really, the Pentagon to release files related to UFOs and aliens. He's saying this in response to President Obama saying, yes, there are aliens, and didn't really give context to it. So Trump is saying, let it all out. Now, interesting, he wants to release all the files on UFOs and UAPs, but don't release the files on Epstein. And he wonder why people feel he got something to hide. That's the only files that you protecting is Mr. Epstein's. Let's look at also Governor Wes Moore signs a bill blocking state and local cooperation with ICE. And ICE is catching it from elected officials all over the country. And if they're effective at what they do it every time. And I think that it is something we as a community must deal with. You know, I was watching some of the news earlier this morning when I come out of the gym. And this is before we knew about the Supreme Court ruling. And I was just watching one of the newscasts did a video of Trump doing his thing in Rome, Georgia yesterday, which used to be, well, it still is. No, used to be. She had left office, Marjorie Taylor Greene, stomping ground. And what is amazing to me is how Trump could stand up in front of a couple of thousand grown folks and convince them that they're doing better than they know they're doing. Now that takes some gall and in some cases talent. To get people that's paying high gas prices, higher for bread, higher for eggs, to act like, no, I brought everything down, and they clap about it, shows there is some real madness out there. And Trump is an expert at exploiting the madness. To say that there's nothing we can do, the system is rigged, well, it was rigged for our grandparents. It was rigged for our parents. And they found a way to resist and turn them laws upside down. We might do the same thing. But one thing we cannot do is tolerate excuses. Excuses. Whatever you do, you got to work on what is our communities together. And I think that we're going to talk a lot about that today. 1877 532 5797 1877 532 5797. I want to hear from you on the defeat of Trump on this tariff thing just now, or other issues that's on your mind and in your heart. There's far too many to remember that happened just this week alone. The tariff decision, the hip-hop artists losing the hip-hop awards, the one and only pastor and leader of the Poor People's Campaign and others have been out agitating about redistricting in North Carolina. And the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, has been battling it out in 2003. So we got issues. The question is whether you have commitment. The movement is not over. You just stop moving with it. And we shall not stop until we get freedom and equality. All right, I'm going to open up the phones in a minute. 1877 532 5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton for the month of February, Black History Month. The Saturday Action Rally will be at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street, between Lenox and 7th Avenues from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're glad as we transition into our new headquarters. Our 4 Saturdays of Black History Month, we'll be doing those rallies at Mother AME Zion. Stand on historic ground, holy ground, where Frederick Douglass spoke, where Madam C.J. Walker was funeralized, where Sojourner Truth had a Underground Railroad come through. I'm so excited about being there as it prepares us to move on to our new headquarters. Let's go back and stand on the rock that our people stood on for decades. Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone true. You see
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist.
Okay, wow.
Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movie would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah.
Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be an educator, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. We thank for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Sharpton is here. We thank
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announced it today. I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to, they released last night a memo
that said that the FBI was investigating good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. Well, all right. Let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the Vice President, all of them, because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes together. National Action Network's 35th anniversary and convention, April 8th through the 11th. Leaders, activists, and community voices united for justice and change. The moment is now. Be in the room.
Past hope, because I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare, and my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilly is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back to the front. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Exhale Friday. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, both tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, on MS, 5 p.m. And I want you to definitely be tuned in. I know that one of the days we're going to have Hakeem Jeffries on. We're going to have others on to deal with the what's going on with the shutdown, the partial shutdown, whether there is going to even be more shutdowns, how we're dealing with ICE and the defunding, and the extension of the Affordable Care Act. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5, and I'm sure now that we're going to have Hakeem and them on anyway, that they are also going to have to deal with the issue now of, since the Supreme Court has blocked the tariffs, and Trump is somewhere talking about that now, that they got to look now and see how they realign a lot of the relationships with foreign countries. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to have the best and the brightest on that from the future Speaker Hakeem and other members of Congress and the Senate, both tomorrow and others on Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. Then on Saturday Action Rally, you in the tri-state area, be there early. It's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., but you might want to get there early because tomorrow we're dedicating our whole broadcast and rally to the memory of Jesse Jackson, my mentor and friend. Keep Hope Alive rally, and many of our elected officials. The mayor is going to be there. State Attorney General Tish James will be there. Chuck Schumer, the senator, senior senator, will be there, and others to give their tributes, and they should, because Jesse Jackson opened up this country for everybody, and we were there. He named National Action Network's House of Justice our House of Justice, and was with us from the beginning, and with me since I was 12 years old. So we're going to have a big celebration. Come early because we want the church filled. It'll be at Mother AME Zion Church, which is 137th Street between 7th Avenue and Lenox Avenue in Harlem. Mother AME Zion, 137th Street between 7th and Lenox tomorrow. You that are not in the New York area and can't get here, you can watch it live on Impact Television or at www.nationalactionnetwork.net live stream or on YouTube/NAN. And the convention, I think that with the death of Reverend Jackson sent a new urgency with people because they understand we better fight because a lot of our warriors have gotten older and gone on, and we've got to fill that slot. And I think that it is has a new meaning, that we are an organization. Reverend Jackson used to come every year at our convention and stay all 3 or 4 days. Even after he was in a wheelchair, he would come. And I was so glad that he got to see us do the work. And we play the tape sometime during the intermissions on this show where he said Dr. King's first stop would have been National Action Network if he would come back. And the question, though, is what are we going to do in these times about our economic situation, about our health care, about saving our vote with redistricting, about criminal justice. We still have far too many people locked away under flimsy to no evidence. We do workshops and set agendas in all these areas. Youth development, women. So I've not released the names yet, but we already have well over 4,500 people registered. It's all free. Every workshop, all our plenary sessions, all free. All you have to do is get to New York and attend. And the reason I ask you to register is in case one of the workshops, which often happens, is full, we stop the last 20 seats and only let in people that are on the registration list. So go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or we can go to our toll-free call at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. And Trump, I got them monitoring while on the air, since Trump has called it a disgrace with the Supreme Court. Did really disgrace because they said something wrong. He said there are stronger methods to impose tariffs. So he's selling wolf tickets against his court. 3 of them he nominated. And all right, let's go to message board. Evangelist Ramsey said, shared and loved the broadcast. Keeping it real, love it. One of the best activists I know, Evangelist Ramsey. Mayor Rodney Jones says, my shepherd gives instructions and I follow. Well, I try to give the right instructions because I grew up getting the right instructions. So I thank you for that. And I think I had one more I wanted to read. Forensic accountant says, peace to all who are observing Ramadan. Ramadan. Although I'm not a Muslim, this is my second observance. That's good. I can handle everything but the anger part. This administration is something else. Yeah, you're not supposed to get angry. You only eat after sundown. I have a lot of friends of Muslim, and they celebrate my holidays. I celebrate theirs. And the anger part is part of it now. So don't cheat. Do the right thing. It's about self-control. It's really about, can you handle yourself? It's not saying they're not things that you should justifiably be angry about, especially in these times. But it's, can you drive your emotions rather than your emotions drive you? That's why that instruction. And I think that is healthy for all of us, regardless of what religion you practice. Can you discipline your emotion? And that's something I worked at for years, still working at. Because I just grew up with a natural inclination. Somebody say something, you snap right back. Give and take, boom, no thought about it. And maybe that ain't the healthiest thing, because maybe somebody's triggering you for a reason so they can get you off point and set you up. So you need to control your emotions. Don't let people always depend on you making a knee-jerk reaction, what may be against your interests and the interests of those around you. All right, I'm getting ready to take our break, and then I'm coming back, going right to the phones. It's Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton. Be right back.
A young man who refers to the Reverend Jesse Jackson as his mentor, but who has been the mentor to so many people, a man who himself ran for president of the United States and who on a regular basis on MSNBC stands up for economic and social and racial justice, for saving the environment and for peace on this planet. Please welcome the remarkable Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Some of the ministers, even though I was a young minister, seemed like they were not connected to what was going on in the urban North. Jesse Jackson came from the South, but organized in Chicago and knew how to organize in urban centers. There would not have been a continuation of that movement had Jesse Jackson not bridged that gap and started fighting for collective economics at that time. Way before we started talking about corporate accountability, he was boycotting Fortune 500 companies, dealing with the economic policy, dealing with the exploitation of the poor. He became a national figure holding corporate America accountable. What people are doing now was started by Jesse Louis Jackson. But directly as they start the Democratic convention on tomorrow, let me just talk about his historic reshaping of the party. 1983, he started saying a black should run for president. There was in 1972 the Gary, Indiana Convention, National Black Political Convention. There was the fights between the black nationalists and those that were in elective office. Reverend tried to bridge that. It led all the way to 83. He went around the country trying to get certain blacks to run. In the middle of him doing that, he started a Southern voting crusade. as he was on the bus going through Mississippi, through Louisiana, registering voters, people started saying, "You should run, Jesse." And we started to chant, "Run, Jesse, run." Most of the black elected officials didn't see it. He ran anyway. And he ran and won many of those primaries, and he put us on the agenda saying our time has come. But he did something that shifted the party and shifted history. And that is when he ran in '88. Not only did he win more delegates and win more states, he changed the rules of the party. This is what I come to say tonight. When Jesse Jackson from the '88 campaign changed the party from winner take all to proportional representation, let's not forget, before '88, if you got one vote more than your opponent in a primary, you got all of the delegates. Jesse Jackson changed the rules to where it didn't matter if you got more or not, you still got your share of delegates based on the vote you got. You cannot have a Democratic Party without democracy. There is no winner take all in democracy. By changing the rules in '88, we also got the first black chairman of the party, Ron Brown, who was a campaign manager for Jesse Jackson. He put blacks on the rules committee that kept those rules in place. So in '08, if there had not been proportional voting in the primaries, Hillary Clinton would have been the nominee. The reason Barack Obama could win the primaries and win the nomination is because the Rules Committee went on the Jackson proportional voting rules. As we come into '24, when Joe Biden decided not to run, and there were those that said, let's have an open convention. There were people on the Rules Committee, when Joe Manchin said he was thinking about running, they said, well, no, you can't run, because the rules won't let you run. Those people on the Rules Committee were put there by Jesse Louis Jackson. The reason Kamala Harris is going to be nominated starts right in this building, starts right with this man. It has been a long journey, but the one that brought us this far was Jesse Louis Jackson. It's a remarkable career to be born in the Deep South, in the back of the bus, and to grow into being a world figure that literally changed the political structures as we knew it. Put two of his sons in Congress. Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., who's a constitutional scholar. Jonathan Jackson now. Reshaped the civil rights movement. What we're doing now with civil rights organization, we learned at his feet. Let me end by saying there's some people that say that it's sad Reverend Jackson from Parkinson's can't walk like he used to and talk like he used to. But I want you to know that every time a black opens their mouth and talk about democracy, Jesse Jackson is talking. Every time we march, Jesse Jackson is walking. And when you see Kamala Harris get on that stage this week, Jesse Jackson is on that stage. He's sitting there watching the results of his work. There wouldn't be no us if it wasn't for him. Thank you and God bless.
You're live, Rev.
Keep it real.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, keeping it real, Reverend Al Sharpton, and as I said, I've been working the phones. Hakeem Jeffries will be on tomorrow, along with others. I have Michael Eric Dyson on to interpret Reverend Jackson in history, and we have Reverend Jackson's son, Jesse Jr. on. And of course, Saturday and then on Sunday as well, as members of the Senate, Senator Merkley, I want to break down what they're going to do about this partial shutdown in the health bill and the Peggy Flanagan. I have Kwesi and Fume, congressman from Maryland, so don't miss either day. All right, let's go to the phones. It's Exhale Friday. Let's end the week with a blessing. My dear friend from Chicago, the beloved Miss Eunice. Miss Eunice, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Rev. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I would just like to say God bless the Jackson family. My deepest sympathy go out to them. And I'd like to say to Miss Jackson, you stood by your man for over 60 years, and that's a blessing also. And let's say, Rev, rest in peace. A job well done. You did what others didn't do and wouldn't do. And I'm proud to say I worked with the organization for 58 years. It was a great ride. And let me say before I forget it, did you get the information I left for you?
Yes.
Okay. And then let me say this. What gives this Christy known of the DHS want to buy a $70 million jet for the
did you see
deportation?
That? Did you see
that? That is just disgraceful. And you know, Reverend, people don't have food to eat, and they have nerve to say people can eat for less than $3 a meal per person. It's fighting time. And then to go further, Cash Patel is spending $75 to go to his favorite sport, ice hockey, at the Olympics. Excuse me, and when are these Congress people going to wake up and hold these people accountable?
Yeah, and when are we going to wake up and hold those that are not holding them accountable? Because they're getting away with so much, and we're not even saying anything about it.
And we should be in the streets 24/7. It's enough of us to take shifts. And this is the most corrupt administration of all time. They pretend they are working for the people and causing chaos everywhere they go. People being killed, and I would say actually murdered. It is just a disgrace. And thank you for taking my call.
All right, and
have a great day.
Thank you, and God bless you, Miss Eunice. James Mitchell says on our message page, hello, Miss Eunice, I enjoy listening to your comments. And then Frederick McLeod says the ruling with the tariffs could have went either way. My concern is the ruling that this Supreme Court will decide on that reverses the gains we as a people achieved over the last 60 years. And I'm concerned about that too, Frederick. And that's the voting decision. They did not come back with the case in Louisiana saying that they ought to take race as any consideration out of the voting process, which is clearly the reason you had the Voting Rights Act of 65 was that you could not discriminate based on race, and they had several states and counties that had a record of that, a clear record of that, documentation of that. And if they take that out, we have no voter protection. And I think that's the problem, real problem. Manning Rollerson on message board says, what is the problem with the role of law in America? Britain and every other country is holding the Epstein sexual predators of people that was named and involved. They're holding them accountable across the world. What's going on with America's law and order? Well, it's a good question, Manny. Clearly, they're protecting somebody, which means there is no law and there is no order if you protect some and do not protect others. Let's remember, we're talking about raping children. There's no more sick and perverted I could think of than raping children. And why would you be protecting them unless you are of that kind of deviant mind yourself? Let's go to Rick in Germany. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Mr. Sharpton.
Good day.
I want your audience to know that it's the holy month of Ramadan in the Middle East, and Trump has threatened to attack Iran for a second time. I think if he does that, he's going to pay a heavy price, not just in terms of Iran attempting to strike at Israel, but in terms of Russia and China having a response. I'm done, brother man.
All right, thank you for your call. I think that you and I can buckle up our seats to see what he's going to do. I assume, given his pattern, that he's going to do something, because this is a major defeat to him with the Supreme Court. He's on the air now selling wolf tickets. Well, there are other ways of punishing companies. So, first of all, either you have tariffs or you don't. I don't know the other ways. But I want y'all to think about that now. He is saying openly he intends to defy what the Supreme Court just said, that you can't do tariffs, has to go through the Congress. He's saying there are other ways to go around Congress. That's really what he's saying. So, okay, Your Honor, you found me guilty of stealing this car, but there are other ways for me to steal cars. That's what you're saying. And we acting like this is normal. Selena in Arkansas. Selena. Is Selena there?
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for taking me. That's good. I've supported you in the past, and I'm always watching you. I know you're always busy. I've been to several events that you've had in the past. But I'm actually calling because I want to state a quote that Reverend Martin Luther King stated before. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you're nobody. In Louisiana, I spend a lot of my time there fighting for individuals that's being, I guess, their rights are being violated by the criminal justice system.
Right.
And it has encouraged me, to go to school to be a civil rights attorney. This year, I'll be graduating with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then I plan to further my education and become an attorney. But I want to know, what can I do to actually have a conversation with you personally? Because we talked in the past, and you may remember me, years ago in 2020, my first cousin, he was murdered. He was actually lynched in Louisiana. He was 15 years old. His name was Tawan Charles.
No, I don't remember offhand.
I decided to. Okay, so he went out with one of his friends, who was a Caucasian boy, and his mother. And next thing you know, he was found in the field, naked, mutilated. Since then, I've came to the knowledge really of who you were and who Reverend Jesse Jackson was. And at that particular time, I actually became a member of Reverend Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition. So I watch y'all on a regular, and I got to say that I love you and I love Rev dearly. And I appreciate y'all. It's so much on social media, people say all kind of things, but I want you to know from my heart deeply that I love you. 3 years ago, your daughter allowed me to be a panelist on the panel at one of your conventions in New York. But I just want to say that the reason I'm asking when can I actually have a personal conversation with you is because I do want a mentor in the civil rights run.
Well, hold on a minute. Take her information. Now, let me say this. The most difficult way to get a private conversation, ask me on the radio, because now I'm going to have 10 people saying that. So don't ever do that. But let's get her information and let's see what we can work out. But I want, before the next caller says that too, between me running an organization with 121 chapters and doing the TV show and radio show, I've got to be very deliberate about my time. So I'd love to talk to everybody individually. I can't. But where I can do, I will do. That is why I'm at rallies every Saturday in Harlem, and we have a team that takes care of things. I'll hear something and say, okay, go to the team. But I'd be dead if I tried to talk to everybody that wants to. But take her information, because I don't remember what she was talking about the young man in the field, and I want to see if there can be some conversation. I like the fact she said she won't be mentored in civil rights, and I think we need that in Arkansas. So let me see what we can do there. Let me go to Cassandra in Milwaukee. Cassandra? Hello? I don't hear Cassandra. Is anyone there, Dallas?
Oh?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now I do, yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, Reverend Al. I was born in 1954, the same year you were.
Yeah.
And I remember Jesse Jackson, James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I tell you, I was maybe about 11, 12, something like that. I was militant in a way where I saw the struggles of our people, and then as a child, I started hating all white people. And Mom had to talk to me. Mom was a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. follower. We had his portrait, him, John F. Kennedy, and I think it was Jesus.
Yeah, I remember them days going in those houses, and that's how people had it up.
Yeah, so she convinced me, because I was a hothead. But she had to sit me down and talk to me. Don't hate white people. The struggle is trying to get our rights, not to kill white people.
Right.
You know, she told me in a way at my young, angry age could understand. And ever since then, I learned to listen to James Brown and Reverend Jackson, you know, with a different ear and eye, and it ingrained pride inside of me as a young child. So, yeah, so that made a difference, because I was definitely on the wrong path of hate. So I really appreciate my mom and what they did, and you as well. I appreciate all of that.
I
just want to say that, and I love you, and I thank you, and I'm sorry for the loss.
I thank you for the call, and I appreciate your sentiment. Let's take a break on that one. I needed a little encouragement. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor and
more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton for the month of February, Black History Month. The Saturday Action Rally will be at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street, between Lenox and 7th Avenues from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're glad as we transition into our new headquarters. Our 4 Saturdays of Black History Month, we'll be doing those rallies at Mother AME Zion. Stand on historic ground, holy ground, where Frederick Douglass spoke, where Madam C.J. Walker was funeralized, where Sojourner Truth had a Underground Railroad come through. I'm so excited about being there as it prepares us to move on to our new headquarters. Let's go back and stand on the rock that our people stood on for decades.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality. Women cannot compromise ERA or comparable word. Women are making 60 cents on the dollar to what a man makes. Women cannot buy meat cheaper. Women cannot buy bread cheaper. Women cannot buy milk cheaper. Women deserve to get paid for the work that you do. It's right and it's fair. I'm often asked, just say, why do you take on these tough issues? They're not very political. We can't win that way. If an issue is morally right, it will eventually be political. It may be political and never be right. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't have the most votes in Atlantic City, but her principles have outlasted every delegate who voted to lock her out. Rosa Parks did not have the most votes, but she was morally right. Dr. King didn't have the most votes about the Vietnam War, but he was morally right. If we're principled first, our politics will fall in place. When you see Jesse Jackson, when my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you are qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today in the Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, but I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star.
He is America's civil rights leader.
What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the
Keeping
community.
it real! Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and it is Exhale Friday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever is in your heart, I want you to pause a minute and think about what this country just witnessed. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, said that they rule against the president of the United States unilaterally and arbitrarily deciding tariffs without the Congress and without the balanced government weighing in on this. President Trump, who nominated 3 members of that court, 2 already hard right-wingers, gave him a 5-4 advantage, lost today. President Trump just held a press conference that ended minutes ago and said that he attacked the Supreme Court, said they were influenced by foreign interest, and said he's going to do tariffs anyhow. He will find a way to do them anyhow. So let me tie these knots together for you. Someone asked me why we don't see people going to jail and being arrested in this country for pedophilia with Epstein like they did a member of the royal family yesterday in England. Well, when you have a president that says, I don't care what the Supreme Court is going to do, I'm going to find a way to do it anyway, and will announce that's what he's going to do. Bad enough that's what he thinks. He announced it. I come out, stand behind the rostrum with the presidential seal in the White House and say, I don't care what they say, I'm going to find a way to do it. And one of the questions that you got to ask yourself is, why would people vote for that kind of lawlessness? Here's the law and order man, but he's saying law and order if you do what I want. This was an absolute rebuke of Donald Trump. And he didn't even have his press secretary go out there. He went out there with Lutnick standing behind him, by the way, that's all over the Epstein file. This is insane. Now, Rodney Jones, the mayor, is saying something on a message board. It's true, he says that the Supreme Court of the United States gave him immunity. They created this monster. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No, Frederick McLeod saying, no, the Supreme Court ruled on their interest. It is their interest to keep a balance of power and not be a flunky and a rubber stamp for a wannabe dictator. I want y'all to be real clear. How do you tell civilians, citizens, obey the law when the court makes a ruling and the president of the United States goes out in front of the world and says, I don't care what they say, I'm going to do it anyway. There's other ways to do it. And say they were pressured by foreign interests. So you're accusing them of being corrupted, really. You're accusing them of corruption. I told y'all, if you let him back in there, ain't no telling what this man going to do. All right, it's Exhale Friday. Let me get some more exhales on our call line. Let's go to Al in Cleveland, Ohio. Al, you're keeping it real with Sharpton. I don't hear Al.
Like the raise praise. Hello?
Hello there.
You hear?
Yeah.
You hear me? Okay. Well, first I would like to raise praise to the supreme power, the most gracious, most merciful, Lord of our understanding, awareness, and insight. I'd like to give shout out to the Jackson family and upon them peace and never-ending blessings. Yes, Reverend, now what I'm calling about today is the father of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson. And I would like to reflect a quote reflect a quote Reverend Jackson had said about, I am somebody. And the quote is from Carter G. Woodson, father of Black history. If a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes I got to get the term right, negligible factor. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. I'm saying that Reverend Jackson was saying, I am somebody. To be somebody, you have to know something about yourself. To have history and some worthwhile tradition to make us whole. He excuse me, Reverend Al. His intention about being ourselves is about knowing who we are as a people. To know ourselves is about our history and worthwhile tradition means what Reverend Jackson said about I am somebody. And the mere imparting of information is not education. This month is about building insight,
right,
consciousness about our history and worthwhile tradition in a way from day to day hereafter. No truth, no justice, no peace. Reverend Al.
Peace to you.
Know what I mean?
Go ahead.
No, well, I guess I'm trying to build that explanation about the contrast with what Reverend Jackson had said and bring it into light to what Carter G. Woodson had said. If a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition.
Right.
It becomes negligible. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world and stands in danger of being exterminated. We are living in this time now, whereas Black history, they don't want us recognizing that. Can't go in the car. They don't want the children to learn history and Black history in school. This is an extermination process, and we are standing in danger of that right here and now. So that's my story for today, Jackson. Reverend Al, and peace and never-ending blessings be with you and all. Thank you.
I thank you for your call. Let me go to Leon in Dallas, Texas. Leon.
Thank you, Reverend Al. Yeah, a couple of things. Well, you know, the money from the tariffs that Trump said that he's not going to follow the Supreme Court's ruling on, where is it going? Where is it? Who gets it?
I know that he's got a lot of it himself personally.
Okay. Now, I just found out yesterday that Board of Peace has to pay him $1 billion to be on it. I don't know whether the audience is aware of that or not, but all those countries that have joined that Board of Peace had to pay Trump $1 billion. So where's that money going? And I say this tongue in cheek. How big of a idiot can he continue to make the American people before they say you've gone over the line and we're gonna have to do something about what you're doing? Because it seems like everything he's doing is, I mean, stealing people's ships and taking their ships and then selling the oil and keeping the money, and I mean, renaming this stuff after him. I mean, it is. I mean, what will it take to wake America's eyes up? Okay. Lastly, additionally, I was looking at the trailer for this Christian nationalist documentary that's going to be on CNN Sunday. And these people are saying, oh, we don't want public education. We need to abolish public education and all these other things. And the first thing that came to my mind was, how can you be a Christian or claim Christianity if you're against diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you're a racial supremacist? How do those two things line up? I don't think that they line up with the principles of Christ, which you profess to believe in. And this is what can affect people adversely when they start talking to them about religion, because they see hypocrisy and they see people using religion as a way to manipulate people. Because I don't see how you can reconcile the two.
Well, I think for reconciliation, you need the determination of what it is that you're after. And I don't think we have those frank conversations. Even inside our race, you got to have a destination. Where are we trying to go with this? And if we don't know where we're going, it will not discipline how we behave ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I have these two books that talk about how white supremacists use Christianity as a weapon. And, how can you say you believe in Christ, but yet you're a racist? Those two things don't line up. And that needs to be exposed, and it needs to be shown that you're not really a Christian. You're just using that as a way to manipulate people. What do you think?
I think that you hit on some very critical areas that a lot of us, frankly, Al, just are not mature enough to deal with. But if there's any good comes out of Trump, I think he's going to force us to have to deal with him, whether we like it or not, because he is bent on, in my opinion, a solid policy of supremacy. And he ain't backing up. You're going to have to bring him down. He's not going to voluntarily change.
Right.
Only thing we understand. All right, thank you for your call. More more Exhale Friday, 1-877-532-5797. Be right back after the break.
Past hope. Because, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote for Phone Troy.
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist. Wow. Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just her.
Just her.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may
everybody. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were cool. Yeah. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Good to see you again, sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road from me. I went for his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about it in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and having pushed the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But no.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Go take it back.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us. because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. It's Exhale Friday. 1-877-532-5797. John McKinney on our message board is saying, never allow anyone to discount your worth as a human being, and this is why we've got to shut down Dilley, Texas, ASAP, and reconnect all the kids with their mothers. I placed that job. Okay. I like that. One of the things that I never forget that people are really not dealing with. I see Tricia saying so far Illinois, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., and North Carolina are honoring Reverend Jackson. Hopefully New York and California, Maryland will follow. No, New York, we did the flags at half-mast yesterday. And the mayor and the senators, everybody will be at the Saturday Action Rally in the morning. We're doing the whole Saturday Action Rally is a memorial to Reverend Jackson, Tish James, everybody coming. We did not ask the family to bring the body to New York. We're going to do it because he used to be at our rallies all the time. So New York is in. And Mayor Mandani, without even me asking, he called me and said, I'm going to hang the flags half-mast. So New York's in. And I think it's a disgrace that the Speaker of the House, Johnson, would not allow the family to have Reverend Jackson lay in state at the U.S. Capitol in the Rotunda. But again, we gonna have our memorials anyway, and Jesse Jr. will be on my show tomorrow. We're gonna have our memorials anyway. Hakeem will be on the show tomorrow. Hakeem and all of them fought to have him honored there in the Rotunda at the Capitol, and it was denied by the Speaker. That's why we need to have a Speaker that is sensitive to what is good for the country, not just black folks. Reverend Jackson tried to deal with everybody, rainbow. Some of blacks got mad at him, say too much rainbow. He stood his ground anyway, and they should honor that. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I think that it is important that we all stand and be counted at this time. The Mayor Roddy Jones said, I watched the hip-hop documentary that you were interviewed for, my shepherd. I don't know which one that is. I've done a lot of interviews. Tell me which hip-hop documentary and where we can watch it. I'll see what I said. I don't know about that one offhand. I'd like to see that. Let me go to Miss Richardson, my friend in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Miss Richardson.
Yes, am I there, Rev?
Good afternoon. Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, my darling. We love you dearly. We hold you like a candle, with that flame going from its tip and never going out.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But Rev, thank you so much. I just had a couple of things, and I know you have people. But my concern is what the gentleman was speaking. But let me say something real briefly, then I'll just say what he was saying about the religion. The tariffs, that's important, like you're saying, and it's a great news about the defeat to this, person in the White House. But my skepticism of the Supreme Court, they have failed to, from the start, deal with him because so many of your calls is right about him getting away with 34 felonies and other things that he's gotten away with, and due process of taking the immigrants and not checking on their, credentials the proper way, just snatching people out of their homes, black and, some of the Mexican people being snatched out. And they didn't get their due process. And so there's many things. And look Reb, this man has done so much in that little time of a year. And so he still has almost a whole 3-year period. And
wait a minute, hold Miss Richardson. I'll hold you over the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
A young man who refers to the Reverend Jesse Jackson as his mentor, but who has been the mentor to so many people, a man who himself ran for president of the United States and who on a regular basis on MSNBC stands up for economic and social and racial justice, for saving the environment and for peace on this planet. Please welcome the remarkable Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Some of the ministers, even though I was a young minister, seemed like they were not connected to what was going on in the urban north. Jesse Jackson came from the South, but organized in Chicago and knew how to organize in urban centers. There would not have been a continuation of that movement had Jesse Jackson not bridged that gap and started fighting for collective economics at that time. Way before we started talking about corporate accountability, he was boycotting Fortune 500 companies, dealing with the economic policy, dealing with the exploitation of the poor. He became a national figure holding corporate America accountable. What people are doing now was started by Jesse Louis Jackson. But directly as they start the Democratic Convention on tomorrow, let me just talk about his historic reshaping of the party. In 1983, he started saying a black should run for president. There was in 1972 the Gary, Indiana Convention, National Black Political Convention. There was the fights between the black nationalists and those that were in elective office. Reverend tried to bridge that. It led all the way to 83. He went around the country trying to get certain blacks to run. In the middle of him doing that, he started a Southern voting crusade. As he was on the bus going through Mississippi, through Louisiana, registering voters, people started saying, "You should run, Jesse." And we started to chant, "Run, Jesse, run." Most of the black elected officials didn't see it. He ran anyway. And he ran and won many of those primaries, and he put us on the agenda saying our time has come. But he did something that shifted the party and shifted history. And that is when he ran in 88. Not only did he win more delegates and win more states, he changed the rules of the party. This is what I come to say tonight. When Jesse Jackson from the 88 campaign changed the party from winner take all to proportional representation, let's not forget, Before 88, if you got one vote more than your opponent in a primary, you got all of the delegates. Jesse Jackson changed the rules to where it didn't matter if you got more or not, you still got your share of delegates based on the vote you got. You cannot have a Democratic Party without democracy. There is no winner take all in democracy. By changing the rules in 88, we also got the first black chairman of the party, Ron Brown, who was a campaign manager for Jesse Jackson. He put blacks on the rules committee that kept those rules in place. So in 08, if there had not been proportional voting in the primaries, Hillary Clinton would have been the nominee. The reason Barack Obama could win the primaries and win the nomination is because the Rules Committee went on the Jackson proportional voting rules. As we come into 24, when Joe Biden decided not to run, and there were those that said, let's have an open convention. There were people on the Rules Committee, when Joe Manchin said he was thinking about running, they said, well, no, you can't run, because the rules won't let you run. Those people on the Rules Committee were put there by Jesse Louis Jackson. The reason Kamala Harris is going to be nominated starts right in this building, starts right with this man. It has been a long journey, but the one that brought us this far was Jesse Louis Jackson. It's a remarkable career to be born in the Deep South, in the back of the bus, and to grow into being a world figure that literally changed the political structures as we knew it. Put two of his sons in Congress. Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., who's a constitutional scholar. Jonathan Jackson now reshaped the civil rights movement. What we're doing now with civil rights organizations, we learned at his feet. Let me end by saying there's some people that say that it's sad Reverend Jackson from Parkinson's can't walk like he used to and talk like he used to. But I want you to know that every time a black opens their mouth and talk about democracy, Jesse Jackson is talking. Every time we march, Jesse Jackson is walking. And when you see Kamala Harris get on that stage this week, Jesse Jackson is on that stage. He's sitting there watching the results of his work. There wouldn't be no us if it wasn't for him. Thank you and God bless you. Well, I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to Miss Richardson. Mrs. Richardson.
Yes, dear. As I was saying, Rev, he has already, because you've told us so, from the knowledge that you have, you've told all of us that he's already fired hundreds, or if not thousands anyway, of black employees out of the government, thousands of them. That they're not these other groups that's being fired like the blacks. I hope I'm right in saying, you'll correct me, Rib, if I'm wrong, but it seems like when you Google this stuff, it is saying that this man has fired many black employees from government jobs, and he's fired fired even people from out of the near government to where he has to come into play, where he's fired these staff people off, where they can't criticize him. And I'm talking about maybe congressional staffers or something, maybe not the Congress people, no, but these staffers that help to do with his administration. You know what I'm saying. There is just so many, a host of people that he has been inclined to fire. And the Supreme Court doesn't, that's why I say I'm not going to let, Mrs. Richardson is not going to let the Supreme Court. Now, everybody can grant them exclusion, they're excused, but I don't excuse it. Supreme Court should have been right there from day one. When the man was convicted of 34 felonies, that's when those conservatives sitting up there, and I know the others probably, they don't have the power like those conservatives, because they have to break them down. And right now it's the Republican side that's got all the power, it looks like, to do. And so, but what I'm saying is the Supreme Court has been almost like okie dokie, Trump, do what you want to do. That's the way it looked like in my brain, the way it looked like the Supreme Court was doing. But the gentleman, you'll speak to that when I'm off, I'm sure, but the gentleman, because I know you got other people about that, the religion part. The thing about that is what I told you about like some months back, when you and I was talking about does religion play a part in how blacks think accordingly about others, about why they hold them up so high. And there have been other black scholars on other shows saying we're the only group that will do that. They're saying, people that high education, they're considered scholars, and they come on these other black shows, and PBS even, they had them on there. And they're saying that the black problem is that we keep we want to be the caretakers of everyone, and yet we're not doing well like these others. All these other groups, the Asians, they don't even call talk shows, as far as I know. And they look where their plight is. They buy homes. They got beautiful cars. I mean, my daughter lives in Springfield, Virginia, and when she's out with her family and sons, they see these Asians with Mercedes-Benz and everything else in Springfield.
Yeah, well, you also have impoverished Asians. I mean, if you go to Chinatown in New York, you have Asians living bad and living good. At Chinatown in San Francisco, it's the same in every community. None of them had to face the brutal form of slavery we did, but I'm not going to say that all of them came here and prospered, because that's not true.
But what I'm saying is, Red, they do not use, see, the Hispanics were different words, Asians, even my husband, who is from Indian descent, he came across this from the sea, from the waters, not these native, but he come from over there, like Pakistan and places where my husband's, descendants are from. And you have other, Jewish, of course, how they made it. And so I'm saying all these other groups do not harp on religion, on their economic plight. And I don't see these other groups saying, they're not out too much talking about their religion. They're out making waves for their own group. Like
but a lot of them, first of all, when we were emancipated, they came here free. When we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery, all we had was our religion. All we had was our faith, and that's been passed down through generations. Now, I don't know anybody from the Middle East that is not a Muslim or Hindu, and they practice their religion. Some of them practice it more than us. Orthodox Muslims pray 5 times a day. So I think that the religious argument is I would disagree with. Now, do they endeavor and go into business more? Yeah, but they came from that. You got to remember, we're only I'm the third generation where my family was free, so we were never taught business. That's not an excuse. We ought to rectify it, but there is a stark reason that it's the way it is.
Yeah, though that's true. But bottom line, I don't want you to think you and I disagree. We agree because my husband, they're the people. his people that came from near Pakistan and all over there many centuries ago. He's been here. And so I'm saying they do worship it, like you're saying, 3-4 times a day in their own way, in their own little religious way. But they're not going out and, they're saying that they're not announcing it out.
No.
Like
We're not disagreeing. You're right. I'm just saying why they are different than us. We're not disagreeing. But thank you for your call. I see on the message board, interesting question by John McKinney saying all Republicans not speaking out against Trump at this point, they're no good, madam. They're enablers, just as guilty. And he also asked me, was that him? I saw another one about what was Reverend Jackson's. Does anyone know Reverend Jesse Jackson's favorite song or songs? I'd love to know if he'd like to go up Moses, Gotta Be More. I do know this. I can say this. I used to spend a lot of time at his house every Christmas and Thanksgiving. My family and I would spend with them, and I've stayed at his house in Washington. He loved music, and he loved gospel. You'd hear a lot of Mahalia Jackson, a lot of Aretha Franklin, a lot of the Soul Stirrers. You'd have to get them old Southern groups that he grew up under. I grew up in the North, but Soul Stirrers and the Caravans and Dixie Hummingbird. You hear all that in the Jackson house. And he loved old R&B. Sam Cooke, he used to play A Change Gonna Come until it was coming off the vinyl. So he was a lover of a traditional gospel as well as old R&B and some jazz. It's funny, Cannonball Adderley, he and the Cannonball Adderley Quintet did a concert at Capitol Theater when Operation Breadbasket was meeting at the Capitol. And they called it The Country Preacher. And they actually designed a song, a musical on sax, and named it after Reverend Jackson, The Country Preacher. I listen to it sometime when I'm working out in the morning. I downloaded that on my phone, and I can listen to it. So, no, he was a lover of music, no doubt about it. Let's go to David in San Francisco. David, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Oh, thanks, Reverend. Yeah, it's funny. I used to play that. I thought it was "Get Up, Moses" as opposed to "Go Down" or "Go Up, Moses." But either way, yeah, I remember that on that Roberta Flack album. It gave him.
Yeah, go Down Moses. Roberta Flack did a rendition. You're right, but it was "Go Down Moses," "Go Down Moses," and then all the lyrics, "Way down to Egypt land, tell Pharaoh, let my people go." Yeah, but I think Roberta had a different rendition with the lyrics. But you're correct.
Oh, yeah.
Roberta did do it, and Roberta was very close to the movement, close to Reverend Jackson. I ended up doing the eulogy at Roberta Flack's funeral here in New York last year in the Abyssinian Baptist Church. I've known her since I was 13 years old.
Yeah, maybe you could have your producer use a little piece of that for your intro and outro, because that's a dynamite song.
Great song.
You've been down too long.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. She did a whole rendition at the end on that. Yeah, down too long. You're right. You got it.
Yeah, and it's funny. I called when he was doing his radio show maybe 10 years ago. I called his show and was praising him for that. For his piece in that song, and he downplayed it. He said, "Oh, that's not me," and all this other stuff. But that's a dynamite song. I used to play it on the college stations when I was in radio. Hey, well, being Black History Month and looking at the tariffs that just got refuted. I was just thinking, how George Washington Carver invented all of those things out of both soybeans and peanuts. There were like 1,000 different inventions, and of those inventions, he made biodegradable plastics. Now, nowadays, people are really, we're facing a horror with the microplastics that are getting in our bodies. Well, it would seem like we'd have a great opportunity with this biodegradable plastics to be inventing things that would not only be biodegradable, but I'm thinking specifically of toothbrushes. If we've got cheap toothbrushes that are being made and people are breaking out, those things probably break apart in your mouth and you're feeding yourself, you're trying to clean your teeth and you're actually feeding yourself biodegradable or feeding yourself plastics, microplastics. Maybe somebody could make $1 billion by inventing some bristles on a toothbrush, so that we wouldn't be eating microplastics when we clean our teeth. And, it's this opportunity with, when you look at Trump's press conference a little bit ago, he was still ranting about how he has power and maybe he's just going to do this next thing and punch other countries and give them all hell. Instead of looking at a win-win, the economy is supposed to be slow and steady and everybody wins by it, instead of a kind of a punching match where somebody's got to lose and somebody's got to win. We've got to create a win-win economy, and microplastics can be beat out by biodegradable.
That's very interesting. Thank you for your call, David. Thank you for your call. Be right back. I see Kennedy Marie Shabazz said, I watched an Isaac Hayes concert and Reverend Jackson introduced him. You talking about Watt Stax. I remember that about 1972. And the Stax Records, which was run by blacks, Isaac was the main star, did a concert at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Show you how much of a student I am of Reverend Jackson. And Jesse came on stage and introduced Isaac and brought Isaac on stage. About 3 years later is when I hooked up with James Brown. I was just 16 years old. And Jesse said, I see you out there with James Brown. What you doing? I said, I'm doing what you did with Isaac Hayes. He said, boy, you know me too well. You brought that memory back to me. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Exhale Friday. Be right back.
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Ivy League schools. But it meant something to me on welfare, watching mama scrub floors, for somebody to tell me I was somebody. You may not have needed that, but I needed that. And then all through my life, seeing him open doors. When you see me talking about Brittany Griner, it's because I learned how he went and got Robert Goodman, different situation. But it taught us that we could deal with global issues. We're not local Negroes. We're global thinkers that can talk to heads of state. And before we go off the air, I didn't know he was coming, but we got to hear some words while y'all watching on Impact Television from our leader, our mentor, the one who picked up the mantle when they shot Dr. King down. It dropped in his hands. He's been leading ever since. Let us hear some words from the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Come on, y'all can do better than that.
That didn't work. Say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me. Protect me. Don't neglect me. My mind is a pearl. I don't anything in the world. I'm God's child. I'm God's child. I am something. Let me hear you scream. I almost negotiated a deal with SeaWorld and Sesame Place, but they're doing our children. It wasn't focused on how much money we're going to get, the deal for them, how many positions of power we're going to get. And there's a black on the board who owns 40% of the stock in the company there. The lawyer is a guy who was on the legal defense fund, a brilliant lawyer. So the blacks, minorities now are 60% of the company. It's about changing the circumstances in which we live. I want to express my thanks to you, Al, for being a part of that negotiation. Being part of that process. We said this one action that we're in the South doing a lot of voter registration right now. Texas, 675,000 blacks unregistered, and 1.7 Latinos unregistered. In Arkansas, 380,000 blacks unregistered. So Latinos about 410,000 unregistered. In Georgia, 535,000. Well, my point is that people should be registered to vote. That's right. It's part of this situation. So I should be a registered voter because I'm an American. The registration should be automatic. You shouldn't have to pay a poll tax to register to vote. You have to go from in the country in Little Rock, you got to go 30 miles to register and vote. And that's today that office, they're mobile. You have to go back home, go back another day. We must fight for the right of registration, which is American citizenship. Talk to me, somebody. As the Trump was trying to restrict votes, we're going to expand it. You're age 18, you're drafted for the military, pay FICA taxes, automatically, right? We're going to fight for people to have the automatic right to vote. That's actually, y'all support that proposition?
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration.
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration. Now, in other words, you take the pain out. I was my president, I often tell the story. My grandma was not going to vote for me. If she didn't love me, grandma couldn't read and write. Never seen the light. And when she did in the mail, Mom and I had to take her downtown kicking, register her son to vote. She got through asking questions, which she didn't want to do, and make an X and walk away. He had dropped down. She couldn't read her, had to make an X. What about people have to make X's? Cleveland, Ohio today is 51%, 52% African American, 61% of them are illiterate. 25% never finished high school. So many of our people are behind on reading, writing, and counting. You hear me now? So Al, we want to start a movement around the country, everywhere we go, fighting for automatic voter registration. And what it means is that if you put that many blacks on the books, you have politics toward that. You have maybe 700,000 Latinos on the votes in Texas, and 700,000 blacks. You got to campaign for who registered to vote. Right now you campaign for who's registered. You campaign for who got the money. See, if we're fully registered and fully vote, we have the power. If you go in Georgia, 2 senators, Mississippi is 45% African American. Plus Latinos, blacks are 51% of that state. And for the progressive whites, we can become governor of Mississippi. 2 U.S. senators of Mississippi. We have the power to change Mississippi for the better. Same as in the South is where slave ships landed. That's where most of our people are still there in great numbers. Bishops between white and black is closer to New York and in South and places else. I want to thank you for allowing me to say something today. I really want to come back and act as so I am. I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen. Right to vote. I'm a citizenship.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing.
Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. It's Exhale Friday, and you can call in and exhale, or you can write in. And, of course, you can call in at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. I see Bill Alderman on the message board saying, Reverend Jackson and you were in Mount Vernon in 1996. I was on you, he says, on your security detail. Betty Shabazz and Mrs. Evers, Medgar Evers' wife, you and Reverend Jackson started the march to Albany. He's right, 1996, 30 years ago, Republican George Pataki became the governor of New York and cut all of the social program funds. And I called for a march from New York to Albany. We was going 2 miles a day. It took us about 10 days. And Reverend Jackson came and walked the first leg with us from Canaan Baptist Church in Harlem to Mount Vernon, to Grace Baptist Church, where the chairman of the board, and now Reverend Richardson, pastor. And then we'd spend the night. He went on back and he met us the 8 or 9 days later as we walked into Albany. But he's there for the kickoff. And I did every day with a group of us, and we slept in basements of churches every night. and our idea was to generate a statewide. People come out every night to rallies, and we'd stay. We were rallying people against the budget cuts of George Pataki. You're all right about that, Bill Alderman. That's 30 years ago. Then we're joined as we are every Friday for the last hour of the show for the week. He is the senior pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan, and the head of national expansion, as well as Michigan State Chair of National Action Network, the Reverend Charles Williams II. How you doing, Reverend?
All is well, Rev, and it's always good to be with you as we are in a period, a time of mourning. You know, it's interesting. I heard you, and I've been listening all week as you've been talking about Reverend Jackson's legacy and impact on your life. And every day that I've been listening, you come up with new stories. There are new stories. I remember we was doing this. And I remember we're doing that. And as time has gone and folks have approached me about my feelings and my memories, it's interesting how many memories that I didn't even realize I had, and how many chances and times and opportunities I even didn't even really think about that I've spent on the front lines with Reverend Jackson, but not just Reverend Jackson, but also with you. And I said to myself, this is very funny. I said, "So I'm either getting old or I just did a lot of stuff when I was really, really young. I'm one of the two things."
Well, I could say I'm both. I started with him when I was 12, and I've gotten older, so I'm both. And you're not old. I mean, you still in your 30s, and
Yeah.
but you got in young too. You wasn't 12, but you wasn't far behind when you got in the movement. You were still a teenager, and so you gonna have a lot of memory. But you know, I will say this: it is gratifying to me. I was looking for the right word. That the memories we have is of being in the struggle, and a lot
Yeah.
of people memories are so frivolous. I remember this party we had. I remember this girl I used to date, or this man. Our memories are, do you remember when we walked to Albany about poverty? Do you remember we got arrested for standing up about police brutality? You remember where we were with Trayvon? That was our memories, because that has been our life. And I'm glad about it. I'm proud of it. And I share my memories so people will say, well, maybe I'll do something in life that's worth remembering. Because most folks do stuff, there's nothing that we really want to remember. It really don't. Do anybody really care who you dated in high school? I mean, really. They may sit there and act like they care, but they really don't care who you dated 30 years ago. That guy done got overweight and no hair and sitting around with half his teeth in his mouth. Who cares you used to date him? But people will care that you were in the struggle and care that you stood up for something. And that don't ever get old. Like this brother that just did the message board 30 years ago remembers not only that he saw me and Reverend Jackson and Betty Shabazz and Evers' wife in Mount Vernon, but remember why we were there, because it was for a reason. I remember right now when you and when and we had to march on a big complex, a shopping mall, about some discrimination. Must have been 20, 25 years ago. And you and Horace Sheffield had me come out there, and we went. Now
Yeah.
Sheffield's daughter is the mayor of Detroit. And she was just a little girl there
That's right.
marching with us. And that, how long ago was that? 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, these are moments in a long string that create a movement. And Reverend Jackson made a huge impact on the movement. And then, of course, your impact was parallel to his, but now it has eclipsed his because you're still here with more movement work to do. I'm parallel with you, and then I'll eclipse you with more to do, and somebody will come behind me. And that's how we keep movements going. We cannot afford in any way to let a movement stop with a man. And Rev would always, in every way possible, continue to push the envelope. And I think that's what I appreciate about him most is that he would push us to be better. You know, one of the reasons why I lost weight is because every time I used to we get together, you know, Rev, man, he make fun of you a little bit,
Oh yeah,
push you a little bit.
not
So,
no little bit,
so
not no little bit. I remember, as an insider, and I'm going back to the phones, but me and Reverend used to talk for years, 6 in the morning. That's where I really got in the habit of getting up before dawn because he gonna call me. And when I was wrestling with heavyweight, he called me, what boy did? Al. I said, yeah, Reverend. He said, do you have to put bricks under the bed to hold the bed up with your fat sword? I mean, he would shave me so till I finally started losing weight. Then he said I'm losing too much weight. But yeah, you're right now. He would not give you a break because he was an athlete, so he believed in working out. I think the first time I started going to exercise rooms was him on the road because he was a football player in college. So he was an athlete, and then later in life, he got a little heavy, and I used to tease him. But we went through all that together. You're right. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to talking about Chicago. Let's go to the activist extraordinaire in Chicago, Sister Pam. Pam, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Williams.
Hello, Reverend Williams, Reverend Sharpton, and it is so funny that you talked about a little bit about the sense of humor of Reverend Jackson, because I just had been hearing stories of from Reverend Jeanette Wilson,
right,
as well as some other people, and it is so good to hear you talk about the civil rights leaders and have a sense of humor, because that's important, and we need to hear about those things. And I'm just going to say the story I heard. You remember when Reverend Jackson went and negotiated the release of several soldiers,
right?
And so Reverend Wilson said this one soldier, Goodman,
right, Robert Goodman.
Who, yes. And so Reverend Jeanette Wilson, she said, well, she said, who does that? She said, nobody was even looking for Goodman but
right.
Reverend Jackson.
That's right.
And he went and found and negotiated him. So
and this young man, a black Navy pilot, they had shot it down, I think over Syria, shot it down. And he had been in there a month or two, and the American press even stopped talking about they were holding this Navy pilot, black young Navy pilot from, I think he was from New Hampshire. And Reverend Jackson was running for president, and he said, I'm going over there and try to negotiate to get him back. Reagan was president then, said he shouldn't go. And the New York Times wrote an editorial saying he was violating the Logan Act, interfering with foreign policy. He went, took a delegation of ministers, and convinced Saddam Hussein to release that brother to him, and he brought him back. Then Reagan had him to the White House, and New York Times saluting him. They condemned him for doing what they wouldn't do. Yeah, Jeanette is telling the story right. That is absolutely right.
And then the other part, real quickly, Roland Martin had people on his digital show just talking about Reverend Jackson. So I think one of the criticisms that the corporate-owned media tried to say, well, he's always talking and just rhyming. So I can't remember the person's name, but he said Reverend Jackson responded, just to one of his other pastors, man, do you know how hard it is to rhyme? And I'm sure you can imagine him saying that in the way that he speaks.
No, I heard him say it. I've heard him say it more than once.
Man, you know how hard it is to do that. So I appreciate the sense of humor. I appreciate the love he had for all humanity. And those who have been mentored by him, I kind of feel and see some of those same vibes. And then lastly, I'm just going to say this. Reverend Sharpton, to those who talk about where we are in this country, no other ethnic group has experienced what black people have in this country. the Jewish people had the Holocaust, but historically, they sought refuge here. They didn't stay in Germany and try to change the system, deal with the remnants of what was left of the Nazi and the parties. They had a whole trial trying to bring reconciliation. So they sought refuge over here. Many of the other countries, they're poor or political outcasts, I'll just use that word. They seek refuge over here. Where was our refuge? We had to make it. We were kidnapped, tortured, enslaved here. And we had to try to make a way out of no way.
Right.
And that was done by, our spiritual beliefs with our civil rights leaders. So I want people to understand that when they try to compare us to other groups of people. There is no experience like this enslavement and then Jim Crow, then the continued oppression and suppression of us. And I'd like you and Reverend Williams to speak to that, because people don't seem to understand that when they want to compare us to other groups. There is no comparison.
No other group had been subjected to erasing of their very culture, their names, their family. I mean, we literally, I tell a story all the time where this man in 2007 got in touch with me and had traced my family, my father's side, back 2 generations. My great-grandfather was a slave in Edgefield, South Carolina. And when I went down to visit where the plantation was, because he collected plantations, and I went to the town's First Baptist Church, the cemetery was on the side of the church, and half of the cemeteries was named Sharpton. These were the slave owners. And it's the first time in my life, as long as I've been an activist, and I'm talking 2007, long as I'd been out here and all this, I'd never really hit me till then personally, Pam and Reverend Williams, that Sharpton ain't my name. It's the name of those that owned me and owned my great-grandfather. We don't know our names. Nobody else went through that kind of slavery. They kept their contained families, names. They were enslaved as a family. Our families were torn apart and sold one state, mama, another state, the children. And nobody went through this, robbed of our language, any dignity. It was literally against the law for us to read and write. And they'd punish whites if they caught them teaching us how to read and write. A lot of slaveries, you could go practice your religion, practice your readings. You just better do your duty. Wasn't like that for us. You're absolutely right, Pam.
Thank you. And I'll hang up and I'll listen to Reverend Williams' response as well. But thank you for that just historical perspective. And we really need to grasp it and understand it before we come with so much criticism.
That's
thank
right.
you both.
All right, thank you for your call. Let's take a break. I'll have Reverend Williams respond on the other side of the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton Williams. Be right back. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton for the month of February, Black History Month. The Saturday Action Rally will be at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street, between Lenox and 7th Avenues from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're glad as we transition into our new headquarters. Our 4 Saturdays of Black History Month, we'll be doing those rallies at Mother AME Zion. Stand on historic ground, holy ground, where Frederick Douglass spoke, where Madam C.J. Walker was funeralized, where Sojourner Truth had a Underground Railroad come through. I'm so excited about being there as it prepares us to move on to our new headquarters. Let's go back and stand on the rock that our people stood on for decades. Jesse Jackson changed American politics. Jesse Jackson changed the civil rights movement. He was a consequential and transformative figure. I always wondered how much trauma that must have been for him to witness Reverend King's assassination. He never would talk about it too much, but it drove him. He kept saying, we got to keep Dr. King's dream alive. He never stopped. I once said to him, you already in history, you've gotten all the honors, why do you keep going? He said, I never learned how to retire. He said, you got to remember, Al, Dr. King was killed at 39 years old. Medgar Evers was killed at 39 years old. Malcolm X was killed at 39. We were never raised to be 40 years old. He said, I woke up one day at 55, there's no retirement plan for us. And he kept going until this morning. Never got the credit he was due. But he said to me that those that need the credit don't deserve it, and those that deserve the credit don't need it. Well, I'm going to make sure as long as I'm alive, he gets the credit. Unlike many other ministers that I looked up to, I didn't come from a high pedigree, nice family with my father and grandfather and great-grandfather preachers. My father left. Jesse was born out of wedlock. He taught me, his slogan was, I am somebody. It's not how you're born, it's where you go with it. So he made me believe even a kid on welfare in Brownsville, Brooklyn, could be somebody. Reverend Jackson had a saying that he used to tell me that became something I lived by. He said, turn your scars into stars. And they can raise the controversies, but the fact that they've got to raise them at all means that he made his point. He made effect. Nobody thought a kid born out of wedlock on Haney Street in South Carolina would be where he was. So sometime when you're climbing up steep mountains, you might slip and skid your knee. But the story is he climbed that mountain. Well, everything Dr. King and Reverend Jackson stood for is at risk right now. He would not want us to have sanctimonious mornings if we weren't going to get up and do the work. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI, we supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do two cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York, April for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you. We need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go now, Sharpton, Reverend Charles Williams is our co-host. I see Bill Adderman on our message board saying, I will be at Mother AME Zion Church tomorrow. That's right. We're going to have our regular Saturday Action Rally will be a memorial service for Reverend Jackson, who used to come on Saturdays when he was in New York and named it House of Justice. And we, the mayor and Senator Schumer and everybody's going to be there in the morning to honor Reverend Jackson, who meant so much to the world and especially there in Harlem. Reverend Williams, I think Pam has said she wanted you and I to address about slavery. I did mine. You want to add yours?
I think she has a great point. I mean, I've reminded folks on several occasions that we cannot minimize the harm that slavery has done to us and what it has done to our families, and we can't minimize it under the harm of what others in other communities have experienced. Sometimes it almost seems as if this is something people believe we got to get over, something we've done, how much more we want to talk about. No, we have to continue, especially in this time where you've got Donald Trump in the middle of this 250-year anniversary and of his life, running around trying to reshape history, as we heard on the break. You know, this is if we don't tell the story and we aren't clear about it, nobody is going to tell that story. So we've got to keep that fight alive.
Let's go to Rick in Atlanta, Georgia. Rick.
Praise the Lord. Well, praise the Lord, Reverend Williams. I wanted to call and give honor to Reverend Jesse Jackson this week and talk about the Target boycott and reparations. The last time I spoke, Reverend Sharpton, you asked me to clarify some statements I made about the connection between the Target boycott and government reparations. You mentioned that you didn't readily see the connection between reparations, which is about the federal government, and the Target boycott, which is about DEI and a private entity. And I appreciate you taking my call, but I don't want to overwhelm the audience, so I will try to speak as quickly as I can, and you can ask me, as always, anything, but I will call back and say more, because the answer to this question really needs so much context. Context is what explains all of our politics and actions. To begin to understand the connection between boycotting and reparations, you need to see what comes before the boycott to know what comes before reparations. So it's not one boycott to Target to get reparations. That's not what I'm suggesting. You yourself have quickly acknowledged that we need to continue pushing for reparations, and I agree. But I want the listeners to know about its focus. Focus is the context of the problem. There are so many voices lying and distorting are the two distractions that the enemy is using to take control of our people's minds, and meaningful action and discussion has been lost in that lying and distortion that is coming out of the television, the radio, and the media. That's part of the strategy. But we, as leaders, are you going to break? I'll wait.
No, you won't. I got to go to break. Thank you for your call. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
Gotta get one. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me.
Targeting companies. He talks specifically about companies. He talks specifically about Operation Breadbasket and our next speaker's role. He has since then and during then bring the movement that started in the South North and urbanized it and expanded it. I came out of that movement. He opened political doors. The downside that people don't give credit to is I've seen at Saturday morning meetings, as we do Saturday morning meetings here, that started in Chicago. He's had to preach while people stood in the audience with guns pointed at him. He ran for president with more threats than any candidate ever had. Facing investigations of nothing, just trying to make something up to scar his name. Would go get Americans that were hostage and land at the airport, and reporters asked, who paid the bill? But he is still here, and he is still with us, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. That was great. Thank you. Now we go.
Al, let me alone. I want to express thanks to God for allowing our family to gather today to engage in meaningful discussion, reflection, and projection. Allowing us to gather the only place we could gather in a relevant African American church. We do not take Pastor Waldron for granted, but we have faced too many locked doors and closed churches from our message. So when a pastor does open up to a meeting like this, don't take this pastor for granted. Pastor Waldron, please stand. I really want to thank God for this connection between this family of panelists today and Reverend Sharpton in a special way, because we must make something theologically clear about the ring of authenticity that you hear in Reverend Sharpton as a bit of connectivity. And when you hear Mrs. Abernathy speak, or Reverend Moss, or Reverend Vivian, there's something so genuine you have to listen, both the language and the message. The Bible says, remove not the ancient landmarks our mothers and fathers have set. When you separate from those landmarks, you are adrift without a sense of historical connection. One thing worse than not reading the scripture, to read it and to misinterpret it. Reverend Sharpton's strength coming out of Bishop Washington's church, Reverend Bill Jones, and out of Brett Baskin SCLC, we see it commonly said today that this is now the Joshua generation. That's not true biblically. Joshua came out of Moses' army.
That's right.
Joshua helped to lead the wilderness movement between 60 and 08. That was the Joshua generation. This is the post-Joshua generation. Joshua came out of Moses' army. Right. Those who came out of Dr. King and the Abernathy's army, that's the Joshua generation. There's not a post-Joshua generation. Reverend Al spans the Joshua generation and the post-Joshua. That's why his consciousness would obligate him to put these two panels, because he stands between two generations. He is the connection. Am I making sense to y'all? Because Joshua knew Moses. Those who didn't know Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy can't be Joshua. Those who don't know C.K. Steele can't be Joshua. Those who didn't know Dr. King's father can't be the Joshua generation. This is the Joshua generation. This is the post-Joshua generation. And that connectivity is important. I am a bit perplexed today as I listen to these challenging statements. Dr. King in his last staff meeting, it's also a mistake to keep referring to Dr. King's name solely. That is a huge mistake. Even he knew better. Dr. King said, when I go to the airport, I am a pilot, he said, but on the ground is the ground crew that gets the plane up and gets the plane down. He said, I cannot make it without a co-pilot. I can't fly through storms by myself. And so Ralph Abernathy is my co-pilot. And when I'm sleeping, my co-pilot flies for me. And our last staff
Keeping it real.
Keep it real.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Charles Williams II is our co-host. Let me say by way of announcements, and we'll try to get some more callers through. Before I do that, though, again, let me repeat. There's one cardinal rule I have on this show. and the show's been 20 years old, and that is I will determine who we're going to hold over to the next segment, because I am the only one looking at the board, know how many people waiting to talk. If it's only one or two, I'll let people go. But don't ever invite yourself to be held over, because you don't know if you're denying somebody else some time. And I let you talk 3 minutes, you're just going to take everybody else's time. So that's why I said I don't mean no disrespect to anybody, but don't disrespect the show. And I tell people, don't ask me to hold you over, don't announce you're going to be held over, because that's the quickest way for me to say bye-bye, because you're disrespecting other people holding on. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget, every Saturday and Sunday, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And tomorrow and Sunday, we will have Hakeem Jeffries is going to come on and tell us where we are in terms of several things, where we are in terms of the whole negotiations around the Affordable Care Act, as well as the deportation questions, as well as his memories of Reverend Jackson. Jesse Jackson Jr. will be on this weekend. Senator Merkley will be on. I'm going to have Senate talk about what they're going to deal with in terms of this whole question of voter restrictions. And now I want from Hakeem and Senator Merkley and the other senators that we're having on that the Supreme Court has ruled the tariffs cannot be done by the president. How are they going to deal with the tariffs he's imposed without their signing? You don't want to miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend. We're going to have the heavy hitters on. Michael Eric Dyson's going to be on. I've got a whole weekend of heavyweights. And then you that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally tomorrow. And as you know, we are temporarily at the Mother AME Zion Church on 137th between 7th and Lenox in Harlem. Big historic church. Frederick Douglass spoke there. Sojourner Truth was anointed there, changed her name to Sojourner Truth at the altar of that church. Madam C.J. Walker was funeralized there. Paul Robeson was a member there. His brother was a pastor. Well, on that ground tomorrow, our Saturday Action Rally, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., we will honor and memorialize Reverend Jesse Jackson. And among the confirmed speakers, Mayor Zoran Mandani is coming, Senator Chuck Schumer is coming, Attorney General of New York, Tish James, many of our members of Congress is coming. I believe Hakeem is coming to all give their memory and their tribute to the life and times of Reverend Jesse Jackson. If you're not in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area and can't make it physically there, because you that can't get to South Carolina or Chicago for the memorials, you are in the New York area, you should do it tomorrow at the Mother AME Zion. You that cannot get there tomorrow can watch it live on Impact Television, or you can go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, watch it on our live stream, or go to YouTube/NAN. You got 3 or 4 different ways to watch it. Get those numbers up in honor of Reverend Jackson tomorrow. And the convention, National Action Network Convention, is the April the 8th through the 11th, Sheraton, Times Square, free. All our workshops, everything free. We have Reverend Williams, over 4,600 have already pre-registered. We're going to cut it off at 5,000 because we have to keep room for our chapters as well as people that have come, signed up in our HBCU tour. And I have not even announced who's doing workshops. I think the only one I did slip out and say Don Lemon is doing one, but other than that, I haven't given names. People coming because it's time to organize. And talking about Reverend Jackson, he used to come every year. And to my surprise, he come, as you know, Reverend Williams, and stay the whole convention. And we certainly going to memorialize him at some point during the convention. Sign up now. If you can't do but 1 day or 2 days, All 4 sign up by going to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Reverend Williams, what's going on in Detroit tomorrow?
Of course, you know, Detroit was one of those touch bases for Reverend Jackson. The Automotive Summit was his big project in there, so we certainly will be spending some time memorializing the Reverend Jesse Jackson in Detroit and his work in Motown, Michigan. Gave him primaries when he ran for president and caucuses, and so there are a lot of folks want to get the chance to say a few words. We also have a lot of folks talking about they want to travel to Chicago, so I want you to come tomorrow because we're going to coordinate an effort, whether that be a bus and what day we're going to actually coordinate. I want to make sure that we all have the same information and we're on the same accord. For those of you who would like to be a part of the National Action Network National Convention and you want to ride with those who'll be leaving from Detroit, you can join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street. Much like New York, you never know who will be popping up to say a few words in tribute, so come on and join us as we continue to keep this movement moving.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to the mighty city of Cleveland, Ohio, with the irreplaceable president of the Greater Cleveland chapter of National Action Network, Dr. Marcia McCoy. Dr. McCoy?
Yes, sir. Honorable Reverend Dr. Professor Al Sharpton, the man with the plan and a vision. And to our Reverend Dr. Charles Williams II, our Midwest Region Executive Director, where the Midwest is the best. Reverend Al, because of your loyal dedication and the love you showed Reverend Jesse Jackson, even during some challenging times he faced during his lifespan, we thank you for always having his back. Well, we come to let you know, we, the Midwest region, Reverend Charles Williams II, Reverend Dr. Bishop E.T. Cabinets, and I, Marcia L. Thomas McCoy, got your back 100%.
Wow.
I repeat, just as you had the back of Reverend Jesse Jackson, we have yours. We love you, and we can show you better than we can tell you. Come on, Reverend Cabinets Bishop, your hotel is booked for New York, and your flight is booked. Come,
Dr. Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Charles Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hold my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
Let us set the record straight. Without one iota or scintilla of doubt, this convicted felon, the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, is a full-fledged, certified, card-carrying, unapologetic, bigoted racist. By definition, the word racism means the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as inferior or superior to one another. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism, typically towards a minority or marginalized group of people. This evil man is a poster child for rabid, wild, and phonetic racism. He refused to rent to black people in Trump Towers. Racism. He paid $85,000 to secure conviction for 5 innocent black and Hispanic boys for a crime they did not commit. Racism. He admires Adolf Hitler, who killed 6 million Jews, and loves Vladimir Putin, who killed 1 million Ukrainians. Racism. He, along with his racist Vice President J.D. Vance, accused Haitians of eating the pet dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio. Abject racism. He questioned President Obama's citizenship and stated that Vice President Kamala Harris lacked the requirements to become president. Pure, naked racism. He depicted the first black president
and the first black first lady as apes and refused to apologize because it is the animal he truly is, disrespected. He stated that America should solicit more white people like people from Norway and white South Africans than black people from a-hole countries. Deplorable racism. This wannabe king, dictator, has a 50-year history of lies, 35,000 still lying, a 10-year love affair with a notorious sex trafficker and rape of young women as young as 14 years of age, sex trafficking, sexism, that's racism. He calls Nazis good people and inaugurates an insurrection against his own country and then pardons the insurrectionists. He later organized a 47-day trained so-called ICE brigade police force to terrorize and eventually kill 2 innocent peaceful protesters of Caucasian lineage. Donald Trump used the N-word on 2 occasions we know. One occasion was when he saw his car vandalized. He immediately assumed that it had to be someone of color, so he lashed out with the N-word that perpetrated the crime. Another was when he was accused by a black former contestant on the show Apprentice of not liking African Americans very much. A former president of the show accused him of using the N-word to refer to the black finalists on the show. He asked, would America buy an N-word winning on the show? The show's only black winner accused him of pressuring him to share the title with a white contestant, something he had not asked any other winners to do. Low down, dirty, hypocritic racism. The sheer hypocrisy of this racist bigot to go to war with Iran for beating and killing peaceful protesters, while at the same time beating and killing peaceful protesters in his own country here in America. Shame, shame, shame. Convicted felon, white supremacist, Donald J. Trump, as his efforts to obliterate diversity, equity, and inclusion, qualifies him as one who vows to make America great again, no, but lily white again. Perish the thought and vote in masses to send this racist bigot back to where he belongs, the outhouse and the toilet. There's an old proverb that says, if it walks like a duck, swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, it must be Donald J. Trump Duck.
Ditto.
I like that one. Well, we're out of time. Thank you, as always, for closing the week for us, Bishop Cavanis and Sister Dr. McCoy. Let me thank all of you for calling in. Let me thank all of you for listening in. Let me thank Reverend Charles Williams sitting in with us, as always, at the end of the week. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you all week long and all weekend coming. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you Monday.